Well, g'day everybody. So it's not a tracker update, but there's been a lot going on in Durban, and basically it looks like the fleet's out maybe Sunday, and I need to explain that how it all works. But while we're waiting for a few people, I just run you through these pictures. Hang on a sec. I got to go back there. Press this down. So that's Kerry, the Royal Natal Yacht Club. Been very impressive, and a couple of other clubs there as well. But he gave a presentation on the MGR and what's happening, and we presented some Burgies and Globe to the club and Vince and so on. So that was a bit of fun. They've been having plenty of social stuff, some of the crew and having a barbie and all the rest of it, eating lots of meat. Apparently, the meat's really cool. That was the team over with the RNSI, the Rescue Coordination People. It's a voluntary organisation, very well funded by donations and government and so on. But they've got something like 50 bases around the coast in the next 800 miles or something. It's just crazy. So it's really fantastic. Got lots of good advice there about weather and how to handle the Gullis Current. Eight of the crews are out on safari, trying not to get eaten by lions and elephants and hippos and whatever, rhinos. So it's all a bit of fun. Game by their resort. They're up there for 3 days, I think it is. They're back on Saturday. So having a bit of fun. This is not a roaring lion. He's just tired. He's having a yawn. So that was one of Dan's shots. And that's Entrant sitting there talking to me on his phone, because we did all the interviews of all the entrants. So and the first one's up today. You can see that below this post with Dan. And what we did is, we did an interview with everyone, and we'll put one up every day. And really quite interesting. I was asking similar questions to all of them, and lots of contrast in the answers. It's quite interesting, except for the one big, one of the big ones. This one here. This is the plans for the 2029 race. One of the questions I would ask is, if there's one thing you could change, what would it be? And they pretty much, everyone bar two, I think it was, said all the same things. They really love the mass restarts. And so when this edition is finished in March, in April, we're currently on the pre-notice of race, which is, we're very easy to change it. And the pre-notice of race will hold for about a year. And then we roll over to the official notice of race. So in that first year, we can modify a lot of things, and we'll look very closely at how many, what we do with the course next time. But it'll probably mean there's certain areas where I don't want a mass restart, because it's kind of nice to keep going and experience the, chase the leader, call it what you like. But there's Antigua at the moment. There's Panama. That's obviously a mass restart. We wouldn't do one in Marquises. We could do one in Papeete if we wanted to. It's an easy centre to coordinate, so there might be a mass restart in Papeete. We'd sail through Tonga, mass restart obviously, halfway point sort of thing, psychologically halfway, because of the transatlantic qualifier is in Fiji, and Vuda are fantastic, so that's on, and that's where we'll have the International World Championship regatta, so people can ship their boats in just to do that regatta, which would be a lot of fun. And then we roll through from Fiji. We just sail through. Wouldn't do it in Thursday or Darwin. We may go to Darwin. It depends whether they want us there and how it looks, but may not. So it wouldn't be a mass restart in Darwin. I don't think that would work. Maybe we'll see. Cocos you can't. Going through Rodriguez, they would definitely stop Rodriguez again, and we go to Mauritius. The Grand Bay Yacht Club there. I haven't officially spoken to them yet. But that ramped up really well, and they look like a great bunch of people. And apparently, Kerry tells me they're really keen to get involved with the mass restart. So that's probably going to happen. And I think what would happen with Durban, we would do something similar to what we've got now, and it wouldn't be a mass restart because of it's hard to pick the weather. It may be a mass restart. We could send the fleet off together. But we wouldn't pick the date. The date for mass restart couldn't be scheduled. You'd have to just base it on the weather. But certainly, there's no question. Jeepers, the reception they're getting there is off the planet. So everyone's enjoying it. The entrants enjoying it, and the people there are enjoying having the entrants. And Vince is a champion, and a couple of the yacht clubs there. Obviously Royal Natal have been sort of like the host. but other clubs there, the Point Yacht Club, I think it is, all been really fantastic. So, and ironically, I don't think anyone thought about the idea of having a safari there, but they're not far away in Zululand. So it's a good chance to do it. Probably easier than out of Cape Town. So good on them for doing that. And so Durban could do something there, and then Cape Town's a mass restart. And the whole idea of a mass restart from Recife, preceding the last leg, originally wanted to do it, but then there's some complications because the Carnivale is on, and the place goes crazy. The prices triple. The hotels are all booked out. It all gets a bit crazy, and so more or less we've got some great people there that are really happy to help, and it's sort of very receptive. But in the early discussions we had, and we've been talking to them for some time, the only time we could do a mass restart is the 19th of February, and most of the entrants will have been in by then. The leaders could have been in by a long time. But the challenge then is we're locked into the prize giving, which is on the 20th of March in Antigua, which we can't change that. We can't change the mass restart date. It's got to be on the 19th, and that's really cutting it fine. And so let's wait and see. But we're reviewing that now, and I'll talk to Recife again and see if we can. We can't change the date. I accept that because of the situation, but it may happen in Recife this time around as well. Anyway, the main thing to talk about is the weather and the rules, because let's talk about the weather first. Also, I forgot to mention we've got entrant reports here, which are quite interesting. They're sort of like holiday entrant reports and talking about their boats, but I'll read you the. Don't let me forget that. I'm putting it right there because sometimes I forget. But anyway, we'll read you the entrant updates. But let's go straight to the weather, and I'll explain what's happening and how it goes. In fact, first, as you know, it is a 8-day stopover. And Renault, for instance, I'll give you this as the example. Renault arrived on the 6th, in the afternoon of the 6th, and so that means he can leave in the afternoon of the 14th. But the weather's rubbish. I'm 9%. Okay. And the others who came later, like if we look at Christian, I think they came in like 3 days later or something. He technically can't leave until 14, 15, 16, till the 17th, right? Until his 8 days are up, and then he can go. But the reality is that there is a weather window coming, and it could start as early as Sunday afternoon. And it's not going to last long. It'll last for maybe 2 days. So those that aren't due to leave, we're releasing the fleet. So imagine this. They're going to stay for 8 days. We release the fleet on Sunday, which is, for example, 2 days earlier than, say, Christian. He can leave 2 days earlier. So he only would have stopped there for 6 days. And what happens is the 2 days early that he's left, they come off the 16 days that he's got to wait for. So it sort of compensates, so no one's got any advantage. So they're the two examples of how it works. So we've already officially announced that the release date for the fleet will actually be at 1300 hours on the Sunday, and you'll see why in a minute when I show you the weather. So at that point, everyone's free to leave. Renault might decide to leave at 9 o'clock on the Sunday, right? Which is fine because he's been waiting, in his time to go out. So that's how the departure works. The next thing is, how do the stopovers work? Well, you've got the 16 days to use for free. If they don't use them, it doesn't matter because we're only counting the sea time. But if they still haven't got to Cape Town by the time they've used up all their 16 days, and they finally get out on the 16th day and they've got no more weather windows left, and then they decide to call into another port, well, all the time they're in the port, the clock is still ticking as if it's their sea time. Okay, so they just didn't have enough days left of the 16-day stops. And if someone gets in and they've only used 12 of their sea days, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They don't come ahead 4 days ahead of someone that uses all 16 days. So that's how that works as well. It's not complicated once you understand it, but that's life. Nothing in life is complicated once you get it. But it's a unique situation because it's a unique challenge. Now, the next issue, when do they stop racing and when are they in port? When's their port time start in this instance? Because we don't know which ports they're going to stop in, so we're not trying to establish finish lines in each port and all that sort of stuff. And the way we work that is that if they're sailing along and they decide, I need to go in here now, right, the clock still keeps running on their sea time until such time they do one of two things. The first one is they either drop anchor for the last time, okay, because they might be seeking protection behind a headland or something. And the moment they drop anchor, they've got to photograph the chart plotter and check the time and report that time with proof and in writing, as well as a report on actually how they approached what they were doing, why they stopped there, a written report this time. And so that's the timeline. Now, if a day later they decide to move to go and tie up alongside in a marina or on a wharf or something like that, bingo, the anchorage doesn't count, and the new stop time is when they tie it up at the wharf or on the marina, because what we say is your stop time is the last anchorage. So in other words, you get onto that anchorage, and when you leave, your time starts again. Because we don't want someone who's planning to go to the marina, say, or the wharf in the port. Sometimes he might be able to anchor, say, 5 miles or 3 miles from the marina. He says, I'll drop the anchor, close my time, then I'll pick the anchor up and move to the marina, right? Which is sort of a bit not fair. So it's their last stopover point. Someone goes into a marina, their clock stops, or ties alongside a wharf. The clock stops the moment they put their rope onto the marina, okay, and not before. And so when they leave, it starts again the moment they take their line off the wharf. Now, what happens if they get a tow in? Well, that'll be assessed at the time. If they get a tow because of weather or conditions or whatever, they've got to give us a written report. They need to plot and log everything that happens, the time a tow started, all this sort of stuff, and then we'll assess that and make a fair and reasonable judgment on what their sea time would be in the different places. So that's how the stop-start happens, and there's a lot of procedures they've got to go through there in terms of other reporting. Every time they leave, they've got to do a port departure form. They have to tick the boxes on all the bits and pieces to show everything on board is correct and working and all that sort of thing. And then they will have to lodge for the South African authorities a movement safety report. Every time they leave, they've got to say what the next port is and all that's, what their ETA is and so on. Now, that can change. They might say they're going to Port Elizabeth. They might continue on to somewhere else. That's fine. But they've got to then notify people because it creates a safety watch. And that was something we were insisting on before. But what we've said now is that we'll be happy to get a copy of that you're submitting in South Africa as your voyage report for us, because we're monitoring them very closely as well in this situation. So that's another important element. And their visit to the rescue authority, to the rescue services people there was fantastic. They've explained it all. They gave them a lot of insight into weather. One of the chief guys there was a good sailor. He understood everything. They know what the capability is of the 580, and it's very, it's very comforting to know that, first of all, they don't think they're a bunch of crazies. That's important to get across. I think they understand that. And they're very open about the fact that, look, keep us in the loop. And they've actually given them access for an app. There's a special little app that they put on their phones, their local phone. So, because quite often they're not very far from the coast, and the phone will maintain the integrity or the access to the app. And that app allows the NSRI, the National Search and Rescue Institute, to monitor where they are all the time. If their phone is turned on with the app in it, the NSRI can just call it up, and they know exactly where they are. And if they need help, they can just hit the button and start talking to the people and all that sort of stuff. So it's what the locals there use. The locals use that app. So anyone going out boating, they have that app. They have their usual safety gear like EPIRBs and all that sort of stuff as well, but the app is a really interesting application. So they've encouraged them to get that, which I believe they all are. So they're pretty well prepared. All the boats are pretty well done. There was big issues with the sails, as you all know. They've had their sails in it, the sail repair people sorting that out, and they're pretty much ready to go. As I say, they're on holiday, doing all that sort of stuff. So anyway, let's move on and have a look at the weather. So you're on windy and now I'm going on windy. So first of all, this is, in fact, I'm going to, that was just because I was looking at it before I got on here. We're back on the wind. Now, basically, put it on the weather right now. You can see Durban is right there under the little flag. You'd think, wow, that's cool. Renault will be away this afternoon, and I'm not saying he's not going to, because I think he's able to leave in about 4 or 5 hours. And I'm not sure what he's planning. I haven't spoken to him, but the first thing is you'd think, oh, that's a really good northeaster there. Why didn't he? He's going to leave straight away. And how long has it been blowing? Maybe we should have released the fleet earlier so he'd get underway. Well, you can see here two things. One is that this is only a few hours ago. A few hours ago, it was blowing from the southeast. So he wouldn't leave in the southeasterly. So that was at 3 o'clock this morning. Okay. And there was big southeasters before, right? But at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's starting to change. And here's 5 o'clock. You could leave now. He could have left there at 5 o'clock this morning. How far would he get? Bingo! Look at that. This is at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. Just left Durban, and you've got this big wind immediately coming from the southwest. So you wouldn't have got very far. And to give you an idea of the strength here, that's 30 knots, and it's probably gusting. Let me get on to gusts here. Where are we? Oh, don't tell me. Oh, you're kidding me. It's locked up here. I can't move that, so I'm going to just pull that off and come back here again. Now, here we go. So wind gusts. Okay, there we go. It's gusting 35 knots from the southwest. So imagine being right here. Look, this is what happens. It's just unbelievable the weather going on here. 43 knots there coming from the north, and it's colliding with 40 knots from the southwest. So you absolutely wouldn't want to be right here now. And I've got to say, my impression of the weather, I've been watching it very closely over the last 2 weeks. I watched it for a long time, but the last 2 weeks I've been watching it every day. We go down. It's incredibly changeable because of all the inputs from the environment. You've got the high and low pressure systems coming through. You've got the currents obviously giving different temperatures as well. But you'd look at it one day and say, oh, yeah, there's going to be a 3-day window coming up in 4 days, right? And then the next day, it's all gone. It's all changed. So it's very tricky, okay? So just talking about coming back to real-time weather now. So what we can do, I'll just pick this up a little bit. Okay, so this is the weather. You can see Durban's up there. This is now, I'm running along the scale on the bottom to pick the times. So Friday's not much good. Very quickly, it's nice there now. He could have got partway down, but he's going to meet that before you really get anywhere. So I doubt whether he will leave this afternoon. Then you can't go off on any of this stuff because that was actually blowing. I won't go into it, but in the middle of that, gusts are forecast for 50 knots. So the forecast wind is 38, but gusts, I've already checked, we're gusting nearly 50 knots by Saturday midday. And it's still blowing from the wrong direction. Saturday, jeepers, it might have even changed a bit. It's the first time I looked at this since yesterday. There's Durban, and here comes Sunday on the 16th. So on the 16th, it's just starting to roll there. And I'll just explain this. I'll blow it up and come in close because this is 12 o'clock UTC on Sunday, all right? And 12 o'clock UTC on Sunday. There's Durban, and you've got 15 knots from the southwest. That's not too bad. It is going against the current, but 15 knots is not so impressive. But that's 12 o'clock, and it's dying down very quickly. So if you can see there, you've got a little blue band right alongside Durban, and it's going to drop off super fast from that point. And in here, there's only 10 knots, right? So the sea will be, still hold offshore, but that's it. So that's 4 o'clock. So if we come back here, that's 1 o'clock. It's 12 knots, and it's swung around. So in fact, it's moved a bit faster. So we've said the fleet can cross the start line at this time. So it's 12 knot headwind. And that's where they can start from. Now, Renault may take off earlier, which is up to him. There's probably enough to set out. If we go back to whatever, it's changed a little bit. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, 14 knot headwind. It'll depend on the sea state. He'll be looking out from the breakwater. and thinking, oh, I think I'm going to get away 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure. So we'll have to wait and see. But you can see 15 knots forecast, gusting 22 knots, maybe a bit too much. So Sunday sometime it's going to change. And then if we look at the big picture, how far will they get? So if we come back here and look at the big picture, the first opportunity realistically would be East London, okay, and that's a fair way off. In fact, I should have measured the exact distance, but anyway, so that's Sunday late afternoon. There's Monday midday. It's got a very favourable turn. It started to roll, and if we look at the big picture, you can see why, because there's this sort of remnants of a sort of top edge of a high pressure system coming through. So Monday night still looks okay. You can see it's all downhill from there. That's looking good. Then Tuesday, still looking good, right? So Tuesday potentially they've got 2 days. So there's all of Monday, all of Tuesday. How far will they get? Well, it's extending. Actually, it's looking better than it was. Looking better than it was yesterday. It's still going on Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they could get to Port Elizabeth. You know what? Stand by. I need to look at the. We'll hold that there. I need to measure off the distance here. I forget what's going on. So now we're actually coming down to the tracker just to see that. Oh, there's a new finish line, by the way. Keep coming down. I'm going to measure the distance so we can all see exactly what it is. We want to go from Durban to we want to go from Durban to East London, 290 miles. So from there to East London, near enough to 240 miles. All right, and the next really good one is Port Elizabeth, which is just around the corner. Port Elizabeth. Where are we? Jeepers. Now my geography has gone crazy here. It's got a different name. I look at it all the time, but anyway, what did we say? 240 miles. I'll be able to pick the average distances out from that when we get there. So I'm going to go back to Windy. Hopefully you're still seeing all this stuff. I don't know whether you got that or not, or whether you've been sitting on the distance, this shot here with Windy. Anyway, it's 240 miles to East London, so that makes it probably another 100 miles to Port Elizabeth. 240 miles is easy to do when you consider the fact that well, first of all, they've got possibly now 1, 2, 3 days. We've got Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They've got at least 3 days there before it gets a bit funny. I'm just trying to work out whether it's possible to make Port Elizabeth. It's starting to get a bit funny there, a bit light, but it's okay. So that's morning of the 20th. So you got 1, 2, 3 days. Okay. So it's only 240, so it's 340. They've only got to do, sailing-wise, over the water, they've only got to do a little bit over 100 miles a day. 100 to 120, they'd easily make it with just the wind to Port Elizabeth. Okay. Now, if we come down here, there we go, got it. If we come down to currents, I might have passed it already. Here we go. So that's wind gusts. Where's the bloody currents here? Hang on. Now I can't move it again. Bugger me, come on. Oh. Sorry, I can only just get the changing bar on the side here. I don't know where it goes. I can't see it on the side of my computer, and I can't scale it back. Okay, I'm going to turn it off again and turn it on. Sorry about the delays. We're not very efficient here. Okay, got it now. The cloud base. Where's the bloody current gone? Am I losing the plot? Oh, there we go. I thought it was on the user one. Okay, so here's the currents. So back to the plan. When you leave, 100 miles a day, and you're probably going to get just enough to go right round past East London to Port Elizabeth. Here's the trick. Here's the turbocharger. So that whole distance, you could sit in the current for about 2 of those days without even trying. And the current, they're saying it's probably running at about 3 knots, maybe even 4 knots at the moment. Sit in that for 1 day at 4 knots, that's 100 miles. Sit in it for 2 days, it's 200 miles. So there's a possibility they may be able to get from Durban all the way down to Port Elizabeth before the wind swings around. So it'll be very interesting to watch, because in all the assumptions we've made, sometimes you figure, oh yeah, the current's effect, but never sit down and hit the reality. But this is really screaming. And, the key element to get past is down around Port Elizabeth. Once you get to Port Elizabeth, you can see the currents aren't such a big deal, and they're all favourable. They're going around, but they're not super strong. So even in those currents with light headwinds or even moderate headwinds, it'll have an effect, but not an adverse effect. So generally, it's all about getting past East London for sure, and then trying to get into Port Elizabeth before you get the headwinds. And they may just be able to do it. So that's all very interesting. So now we'll go back and we'll have a better analysis of the overall weather. Oops, it's hooked too far, just to see what's likely to happen. And once again, why is this gone? I can't even see the scale underneath now. Bloody hell. Stand by. I've got to resize. I can't even get to the bloody... Jane. Hang on, stand by, everybody. We might have a technical problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of Windy, I think. I'm scrapped here. I cannot get to the scale. My computer's overloaded with everything. Okay, I'm going to get out of Windy and call it up again. Stand by. Calling up. Windy, boom, Windy, done. Windy map, boom. Okay, now I've got everything back at least. Sorry about this, everybody. We're not running smoothly, but we're getting there. This is sea state, by the way. It's pretty constant. So that's sea state right now, coming around. And I'm just coming back to check that no one's telling me or screaming that that everything's stuffed up here. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I've got to share the screen. That's why. Sorry, stand by. Got to share Windy again. Share. Okay, I'm coming back to see what's happening. There's Adelaide. No one's. I'm watching from Darwin. It looks like the screen is correct, but you're now trapped on the other one. So now you should be back on the tracker screen. If someone send me a message and say yes, we've got the tracker. Hopefully it's still there. So you're on the tracker now. I'm going back on the tracker. I mean, not the tracker, the wind. So you see you've got pretty solid sea state there. It doesn't matter what the wind's doing. It's just not changing that much at all. So there's Saturday, still big. There's Sunday, still big. There's Monday, still big. You've got an area right close, hard in on the coast. And then it finally settles in on Tuesday. So it's taking a while for the sea to drop down. So come back to the wind. So you've got the wind. I'm going to come back and check to see if anyone sent me a message to say it's still okay. I don't know what. Hopefully my screen hasn't gone dead. I'll assume it's still all there. So hang on. So you're still on the tracker. Now I'm going back to the tracker. Rightio. So come back to Sunday. The influence is there's this big high coming. Okay, and then on Monday, you can see it's actually proving a nice little turn there. So it's favourable for Monday, not too strong, in line with the current, coming up to 20 knots, 30 knots, giving them a real boost, and then back on. So Wednesday it's still okay, and it's all because of this one. And there's another big one coming. So the good news there, if we now just pick this up one, okay, so it starts to run out of breeze, but it could very well be in Port Elizabeth by then, before it starts to get a light headwind. Someone who's keen and getting good forecast, and there's some sort of a pressure system happening here. Let's see what's scheduled. Someone could keep going on that, but I think they'd stop because it's coming. So stop in Port Elizabeth on the 20th, 21st, 22nd, probably even the Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but then it rolls over again straight away. So it could only be a 3-day ish stopover, and then they're back to the top end of a little high here. So then it's one, still good. 2 days, still okay. 3 days, still okay. 4 days, that's, by then, 3 days, you're potentially around the Cape of Good Hope, right? And this is where it gets really extremely, disastrously horrible, because we're not arriving until the 29th. Because this is the 27th. It's still a fast trip around. There's the 28th. Still a fast trip around. We don't go any further with the forecast. But there is a very real possibility. You got a guy like Renault out there that's going hell for leather. He could get in quicker than what we're all imagining, because if this forecast holds true with this high pressure system here, it's looking like, if they're lucky, you could get by with just one stopover at Port Elizabeth, and that might be for about 4 days. It's only 1,000 miles total all the way around. The current's going to give them at least a couple of days, so there's possibly only going to have to sail 800 miles. So they could be around there quicker than what we imagine. Anyway, I think I've given you enough on all that. I'm going to come back here and say good day and read you the reports. I hope that wasn't too boring, and I hope it all worked. All good on windy, all good. Yeah, fantastic. Oh, good day, Christine. Thanks for all the photos and videos. Jeepers. That's all cool. I think you should be out safaring, feeding yourself to the lions. Okay, I'll read you the reports. There's some good stuff here. What's up? Okay, Josh. Sunday, Saturday. I don't think we've read anything for a while. Hang on, I've got to make sure I'm not starting too far up the track. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Jasmine, Skookum. Well deserved. I have to sleep this night, Christian. Okay, so here we go. So this is yesterday, Skookum, 13th. Yep, yesterday. Have been enjoying Durban so far. Went to the steakhouse with the 580 gang. Went to the aquarium, the water park with Cooper and Jasmine. That might be Jacob. No, with Cooper and Jasmine. Now on safari till Saturday. So the safari deal, they went out. It's a 2-night, 3-day. They stayed. Dan and the others, they hired a car or something. Went out there, staying in the resort. Food looks good. The restaurant looks good. Animals look cool. And they're coming back on Saturday afternoon. So they're going to be a mad rush if they're leaving on Sunday. So Jasmine, number 2. Love it here. Full mixture between boat stuff, talks, events, aquariums, swimming, water parks, Rotary friends, and just loving life. On safari now, yet again, another place I don't really want to leave. I suppose there's the funny squash up here. When you have a short time, you go ballistic, and I've got to say, everyone's looking after themselves, and the 580 sailors know how to enjoy themselves. But if you have a month there, you'd probably only do the same things over a month. Who knows? But it's like putting petrol on the fire. They're all having an amazing time, and they'll look back at this in the next 20 years or whatever and see, wow. Eric, Sun Bear update Friday. Very enjoyable stay in Durban. The yacht club, the local people are wonderful. Last night we had a lovely barbecue, and Bill and his son Mike, they cooked a beautiful steak and other cruises. It's the crew of boats there. There's a lot of boats going around the world. Brought vegetables and salad. The drop of rum I supplied. Kerry Ayrton and myself really enjoyed it because they're the stay-at-homes. The others have all buggered off on the safari. I've been busy cleaning and making Sun Bear ready to depart. Hopefully on Sunday. We're all keeping a close watch on the weather. Fantastic night at the Yacht Club on Wednesday evening. Well done, Kerry, for his informative presentation to all the members that attended. The club also provided a great meal to the they're feeding him for free, which is incredible. Great meal to the MGR entrance. Next stop, more likely East London. All the best, Eric. Renault. Oh, jeepers. That's a blow because I didn't see Renault, so I want to read it, but it's all in French. I'll see what I can do. This is my interpretation. Bonjour. Hello. So fate, so many people arrived Durban. Having a great time since he got to Durban. Under preparation, he's been preparing Capuchinet. I don't know whether he went on the safari. Probably not. I'd say he'd be more focused on his boat. Council advises the yachtsman's local reception of the Royal. Yeah, he's really happy with the Royal Natal. The temps passed. The days have passed really quick. The previous previous weather forecast changed a lot, and kind of encore the date to depart for controller on South Africa. He's still working out his departure date. I think he hasn't set a day there. So, but he's on top of it. He looks at the weather every 5 minutes. So I'd say Renault's looking pretty good. And as I say, he can leave any time after Friday afternoon. So stay tuned. And I've got to say, if you wouldn't, I should have put Kerry's. We might put Kerry's interview up tomorrow, and have a look at that, because Kerry yesterday was thinking he might sit it out for the next forecast, because if everyone else had to stop, he had a hunch. He's been looking at the long-term weather that he might be able to get all the way through without stopping. But the weather's changed even since yesterday. Like what I saw there wasn't there. After about the week, the long range forecast is showing that it might be possible to make it through with only one stop. So that may change Kerry's mind. I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll wait and see. Jacob, this will be fun. I've read this. From BB, life is good in South Africa. Now doing a safari with friends, and that's one of the best times. It's funny when you say, "Oh, we're on safari," Anyway, very colonial. Thanks, one of the Royal Natal Yacht Club. Thanks to one of the Royal Natal Yacht Club member who owns the safari resort. Ah, cool. We can enjoy it for fractions of the cost. Oh, I didn't realise that. So good on them. They've cut a deal with them. That's good. I wondered how they were going to do that, because South Africa's a real anomaly in a lot of ways. It's a fantastic place. Haven't been to Durban, but I've been to Cape Town, 5 or 6 times, and it's really pretty cool. Every country has its challenges and problems, but it's fantastic and it's not expensive. But there's a tourist economy, and sometimes that's more normal prices and stuff, and they're all on safari, big resort, big food, all that stuff. So they must have given them some big discounts, which is cool. So it's so strange to not see water around, but plenty of animals and bush. The boat is pretty prepared, and we don't see much supply. Also, we are so well fed that probably I won't eat for the first 3 days at sea. Yeah, they've been packing it on in the last few days. Last one was from Argo. I did some repairs on the boat, like sheave box and halyard. Got the boat cleaned and did all the reprovisioning. Enjoyed Durban very much. Now we're on safari, which is just amazing. Also planning the passage to get further south and keeping an eye on the weather. Cheers, Christian. So there's the reports from the people. And there was one other thing. What was I going to... Oh, jeepers, I've completely forgotten what it was about. But anyway, let's have a look and see who's here. We'll get off. It's already been 36 minutes. Jeepers. Sailing Katie, g'day. Christine. Yeah, g'day, Christine. So you didn't go on safari? That's amazing. Unless the Zululand is not far from safari. G'day, Mike and Gay. Good on you. Isla, Darwin again. G'day, Adrian, Christine. 2 pelicans. 2 pelicans. Okay, I'll believe you. Tony Hale. Hi, Tony. Adrian. Port Elizabeth is great. Aldo Elephant Park is worth a visit. They'll need a car. Yep, they'll hire a car maybe. So, that's, yeah. I think Renault is on the safari. Yep, okay, that's cool. His boat must be very, very good. And he'd be, oh, look, a lion. Oh, look at the weather. Oh, look, a hippo. Oh, look at the weather. That's Renault safari. I think Renault safari. Yep, cool. My friend Paul, who gave me a lift from Mozambique, negotiated a great deal for the 8 of 8 who went. Good on him. Okay, so that's it. I'm out of here. We'll obviously, once they get going, we'll be doing updates. It's going to be hard on Friday and maybe even Thursday, because we've got a big GGR conference going on here in Les Sables d'Olonne. next week, next Friday and Saturday, with perhaps the other side. But I'll do what I can. They probably could all be in port by then. In fact, they probably will be. So thanks for that. Stand by, and we'll keep the ball rolling and keep an eye out for when they take off. See you later. Like, share, and comment, and all that stuff. Every comment helps the algorithm too. Just say hello. See ya.